Welcome to the SBR NHL Double Play of the Day video for Tuesday, February the 18th. I'm Ian Cameron with Adam Booth as we're breaking down our top plays on the Tuesday card. A little bit smaller of a Tuesday card than normal. We've been seeming to get these 10-plus games every Tuesday. Not quite as many tonight, but still a good assortment of games and options to choose from. Let's start with Adam. Play of the day for him, Toronto Maple Leafs and Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm already hearing how it's, Austin Matthews versus Sidney Crosby. Shut up, all right? It's not Austin Matthews versus Sidney Crosby. It's Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's a team sport, okay? We understand they're great players and they're superstars. We don't need to hype it up like it's one-on-one, mano-a-mano. This isn't UFC in the octagon. It's the NHL. It's a team sport. Drives me nuts. Anyway, Pittsburgh currently minus 130, minus 135 home favorites, total 6.5, shaded to the over. Courtesy, of course, as always, courtesy of SBRodds.com. Make sure you're checking out SBRodds.com daily for the best line and price with every wager. A reminder, too, to check out Adam's daily NHL written content and all the other NHL writers for SBR, SBRvideo.com/NHL. Make sure you check out that website. Obviously, we know what's happening with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Lack of consistency game to game, lack of attention to detail defensively, game to game. Although Sheldon Keefe attributes the debacle we saw against Buffalo, 5-2, they lose that game the other night to the Sabres, attributing that to a tired team. He was talking about how that was the third game in 4 nights with travel in between every game. That's why the Leafs didn't practice yesterday. He felt they were just dead legs and had nothing in the gas tank Sunday night against Buffalo. So we'll see if the day off helps them. They're going to have to hope it helps them because they're playing a surging Pittsburgh Penguins team that is playing great hockey, that has Sidney Crosby back, that has gotten immediate dividends and impact from Jason Zucker, the deal that they made with the Minnesota Wild last week, and he's already made an impact for this Penguins team offensively. So tall order for the Leafs, and it's going to be too tall of an order, according to Adam. He likes Pittsburgh here in this game, Adam. Tell us why you're on the Penguins.
The price, always the price.
Yep.
I have the Pens at, like 58% to win tonight, and it's an overvaluation of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Who can beat the Penguins? They've done it in the past. This year, the one game they've played against each other, Pittsburgh stomped them, I think 5-1, 6-1. The Toronto offense is something we've talked about really for several seasons, but this season again, they've got the depth that, even Zach Hyman, they're saying, has been contributing since the All-Star break. And, you can never count their talent out of, late in games or getting a good first period in or whatever. They can score. They've just got the talent to score given the opportunity, but so did Pittsburgh. So in my eyes, this discrepancy on the price is really based around what's happening in the defensive pairings. And, Anderson gets to start tonight or Campbell gets to start tonight. I think Anderson's likely to go. There's still the discrepancy that Toronto is not playing well in the back end, even since the trade. I mean, they've brought their goals against down a little bit. I think the trade was made, it was right after they lost to the Ducks. They beat the Ducks. Somewhere in there. It was either between the Rangers and the Ducks game. And so then they played the Habs. They lost in overtime. They limited the Coyotes to 2, the Stars to 3, the Senators to 2. And then they got pummeled for 3 goals in 2 minutes against the Sabres the other night. I still think the Toronto back end is, I don't know, struggle. You don't want to call it weak because they've got some decent players, but they're playing much worse than a playoff caliber team. And, Anderson, we've talked about him being the MVP of this team and the reason why, the defensive numbers have sometimes look better than they actually should. But so in my eyes, this discrepancy is because of the Penguins' defense and structure in their own zone, in contrast to the Leafs, even since the trade. You see that with the Penguins side. Yes, they played a couple weak teams in Montreal and Detroit, limiting them to 1. But they also limited the Bolts to 1, the Panthers to 2, and then, a few before that they were on a streak of overs. But this game could go over certainly. One play I did consider was putting on Toronto over 2.5. I think it was around minus 150, maybe 140. So I do see the value in that play if you like the Toronto side. But I like the Penguins money line far more. and it's not a bad scheduling spot. Toronto is well aware of their defensive issues at points in the season, but it hasn't really come consistently where they're able to shut down even kind of poor offenses like the Sabres the other night in a span. So they, sorry about the cable.
Yeah, that's all right. The trains are operating today. It's nice to know that. Yep. If I need to go somewhere, I know I'm all set. Yep.
So even though they're well aware of it, they're in a 2-2 game. They're in a playoff race, and they allow 3 successive goals from a relatively poor Sabres team that isn't known for high tempo offense, and the game falls apart in the third period in a matter of 2 minutes. So, they're facing a very good Penguin. You can always say they were looking ahead and stuff, but they shouldn't be. It's, every game, it's off a back-to-back as well. That's something to consider. But if you're making excuses for the Toronto team, you have to go through their whole record of goals against throughout the season and wonder why. So this is a game where if it becomes a shootout, yes, Toronto's more likely to win it. But if the Penguins can limit them to 2, maybe even 3 might be it. Even if the Penguins can limit them to 3, that might be enough for the Pittsburgh offense to get it done. But Anderson's a quality goalie. So again, it's less about, can a goalie put up a shutout performance? Of course. But, I'm leaning more towards this being, the Penguins scoring 4 goals on a Toronto against a Toronto offense that might not be able to get the same level of opportunities or quantity of opportunities. But if penalty trouble happens, there's so many reasons why Toronto could still win this game. But I do like the value on the Penguins. And so the line does make sense. I do hold them as a favorite, but it should be shorter, I think, given the probability I have. So that's my play, Ian.
All right, Pittsburgh minus 127 against Toronto. One of the great matchups tonight in the NHL. Looking forward to seeing that. Penguins, by the way, have been good at home. I mean, it's never the worst idea in the world to bet on Pittsburgh at home. They're 21-9 on home ice this year, so a very good home record for the Penguins when they're playing in the Berg, and Adam likes them to notch another home win tonight. For me, I'm going to Columbus and Philadelphia. A huge game when you think about it. Both teams needing points, both teams battling for wild card spots. Right now, the Jackets and the Flyers. We've got right now in this game, Philadelphia minus 155, total 5.5, shaded to the under, minus 120. In fact, I got plus 106 when I placed the bet on my play of the day at Pinnacle. I mean, just a tremendous price and great value, in my opinion. You can still get even money. Plus 100 is still out there at most books right now with Columbus, Philly over 5.5. And this is one of those bets that when you have a theory and you see a finding change with a certain team, like we are with Columbus, what do we see it with Columbus pretty much since, late December, early January, even maybe before that, when Korpisalo got hurt. It became a tight defensive team, a conservative squad, low-scoring hockey, and Merzlikins just took off and just looked like this tremendous goaltender all of a sudden. For a guy that was really fighting the puck anytime he got the net when Korpisalo was still healthy. When they gave him those backup goalie starts and those spots, he was really struggling, Merzlikins. Korpisalo gets hurt, and he looks like a completely different guy. Elvis Merzlikins in net for the Columbus Blue Jackets. However, I think a lot of that was a really sturdy, strong defense that really prided themselves on playing a tight, conservative, checking style of hockey. And I think that helped Elvis along in terms of being able to play well. Unfortunately, the Columbus Blue Jackets, and it's not a complete shock that they've gone on a losing streak since this happened, but they lost a pillar of strength on their blue line, and that, of course, is Seth Jones. This is a guy that is phenomenal in all phases. All phases. We know he's a good skater. We know he's a great puck mover. We know he can chip in points from the blue line as well, but he is tremendous defensively, and people don't talk about that part of his game enough. He is sound as can be in all 3 zones: offense, neutral, defensive zone, plays in all situations, 5-on-5, penalty kill, power play, minutes that you just can't replace. This guy's almost a given for 24, 25 minutes a game on the ice for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And you've got to find now replacements for the Jackets to replace those minutes and that impact that Seth Jones brings to this team on the blue line. They can't do it. Like, who are you going to do it with? Scott Harrington? You're going to do it with Andrew Peeke? Who the hell are these guys? They just came up from the AHL a couple of weeks ago. That's who they are. I mean, those aren't guys you're going to get to fill in for a Seth Jones at an adequate level. After Werenski and Nudavara, who actually I like them. They're a solid top pair. There's a huge drop off. Gavrikov's a young guy. David Savard's a solid, sturdy, stay-at-home defenseman, but nothing special. And then, of course, you got Harrington and Peeke, your AHL third pair on defense, essentially. So this is a very thin, all of a sudden, Jackets blue line, because not just because of the absence of Jones, it's because of the fact that, you got to fill those minutes. Those aren't like 10 minutes a game you have to fill. Those are 20 plus 25 minutes a game that you've got to fill with these other defensemen. And they can't play at that level as well. So what are you seeing? You're seeing Columbus losing. You're seeing Columbus giving up more shots, more high danger chances, and ultimately more goals the last few games that they've played. Buffalo scores 4 goals against them last week in a 4-3 loss for the Jackets. The Rangers have good offensive success, 3 goals. This was a team that was giving up 1 or 2 goals the majority of their games. Now they're giving up 4. They're giving up 3. They're giving up 3 again to New Jersey on Sunday in a loss to the Devils. And 4-3 is what it ended because of the shootout. But 3 goals, during the actual course of the game. This is not the same Columbus defensive team. And of course, when Columbus has just been a dead nuts under team for months, you're going to get totals with them still to this day at 5.5. You're just going to get them because of the long extended stretch of low scoring defensive hockey we've seen for Columbus for the better part of the last month or two. That's why the value is right here, right now, to be looking over the total in Columbus games. It really is, because that change and that impact of Seth Jones' absence is not being reflected in any sort of adjustment whatsoever in the Columbus game totals. And you've been able to take advantage of that the last couple. 2 of the last 3 gone over the total for this Jackets team against Buffalo, the New Jersey game. I was on that over as well with the Jersey-Columbus game on Sunday. And the same thought process is in my mind here with this game tonight. Philadelphia Flyers as well. You look at them offensively, I think they're certainly capable of finding the back of the net in this game. They're coming off a 5-3 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. But before that, they had been scoring goals. They lit up Florida on the road before that. They scored 3 against Tampa, scored, I believe, 5 goals against Florida the game before that. And then they played Florida at home before that game in Florida, and they also got to 4 goals. So it's a Flyers offense that's finding the back of the net right now. So they should be able to get on the scoreboard. Columbus can as well, though. Columbus and John Tortorella, this is another thing I've noticed. He's admitting to himself, as a guy that wants this team to play low-scoring hockey, I think he's kind of admitting to himself the last few games, we got to try to open it up a little bit. We have to, because we've got to try to make – we can't just play 2-1 anymore, not with this Seth Jones out of the lineup, because our defense is not quite deep enough to make up those minutes. Bottom line is, I think Tortorella is admitting to himself and admitting to this team that, hey, we got to start scoring some goals if we're going to win games. And I like what I saw against New Jersey. They didn't win the game. They lost 4-3 in a shootout, but it was only because Mackenzie Blackwood was unconscious in net. They had 50 shots on goal. So you can't complain about them not generating offense or chances at the very least. Yeah. Shots. They were all over New Jersey in that game. They could have had 6 goals if Mackenzie Blackwood is even average in that game on Sunday against the Devils. So I think Columbus can find the back of the net. I know Carter Hart's been in a really good groove lately, but I think Columbus has to at least try to be more aggressive offensively and at least try to open it up a little bit more to win games right now. And I think they will, because they're on a losing streak. They're desperate. They need these points. I don't think they can just sit back. They got to get after it and go after it tonight, and I think they will. So put it all together. Oh, and then the fact that these two teams play a lot of overs head-to-head. I believe 7-1 to the over the last 8 head-to-head meetings, the Jackets and the Flyers. It's a crazy number in terms of the games in Philly long-term. 13-2-1 to the over the last 16 in Philly between these two teams. 13-2-1 to the over. That's a heck of a streak right there. But it's more than that. I don't bet just long-term streaks blindly. This is a methodology that without Seth Jones, Columbus is going to start trending slightly to the over and be a value team to the over right here, right now. So my play of the day, after all of that rambling, Columbus, Philadelphia, over 5.5 plus 106.
I like it too. I have the over under at 50% each way, so the value is with the over as well. I haven't played it yet, but I'm thinking, because I have Philly money line at 53. So I'm looking at Columbus and the over for that game. Yeah, he is a player that, as far as the defensive necessity is there. When Werenski's out, he's a big minute guy, but he definitely his value is more seen on the offensive end. I'm not sure about Jones being the same way. And yeah, I agree with the need to see some goals coming in for Columbus to stay relevant in the playoff race. I'm not sure how far they've slid over this last 5-game losing streak, but with enough divisional games, they can always make that up. But yeah, I like to play in.
Yeah, I mean, 5-game losing streak, and really, I mean, it's really lined up with. I think he got hurt in the Colorado game. They lost 2-1, and then the Tampa game, they're 0-4, I believe, without Jones, but 0-5 overall. But the bottom line is they missed a guy. You can't replace him, and it's showing. They're struggling without him. I was actually hoping to bet Philly in this game, Adam, but the price was higher than I wanted it. I thought it would be, I thought it would be minus 130. Even 40, yes. 50, 55 is just, that's a little too high for me. So
yes.
That's why I stayed off the Flyers in this game. I do like this over. I like it quite a bit. Now's the time. Jump on the Columbus overs now because it's not being reflected. I mean, it's because of all that defensive. They played basically 2-1, 3-2 hockey for like 2 months straight. So it's going to take a time for odds makers to make this adjustment without Seth Jones. So I think now's the time where there's value on over the total with this Jackets team.
Love it.
All right, good stuff, Adam. Pittsburgh minus 127 against Toronto for Adam's play of the day, and mine is Columbus, Philadelphia over 5.5 plus 106. By the way, thank you to Alex from the soccer show filling in for me. We got our lines crossed and got screwed up on Saturday, knowing when the show was. That's on my fault there for screwing that one up. But nevertheless, he joined Adam on the Saturday video early in the morning. So thanks for him for joining. He did a good job. It was fun. It was a funny show, actually. You guys did good Saturday. But nevertheless, Pittsburgh for Adam and Columbus, Philly over 5.5 for our plays of the day. That's going to wrap up the show. Thanks to everyone for tuning in and watching. We will be back on Thursday at noon Eastern for the next edition of the SBR Double Play of the Day video. For Adam Booth, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Good luck with your wagers. We'll see you again Thursday right here on the Double Play of the Day video.